America's best drivers in the biggest race of the year.
All right, everybody. Appreciate all the hard work, all the effort, the commitment all year long. We have all the ingredients. Put it all to work. All right, starting to get ready. Ready.
Check.
That rumble will shortly become a roar. Has 40 stock cars with nearly 800 horsepower come by the start-finish line in front of a sellout crowd.
Good job, buddy. P1 right there.
Shout out to KKB for the YouTube edit there. That was some clips of the 2020 season. Of course, you guys didn't see that. I can't show that on stream or else I might get a little bit in trouble. But the music, we should be fine. Welcome on in to another Faded TV Productions. I'm Brandon Robinson. Alongside me is Kyle Gretsch in the booth. Kyle, how you doing tonight?
Doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm looking forward to tonight's Watkins Glen race. Of course, Watkins Glen, it's a pillar in NASCAR as far as road course racing goes. We all know they're trying to implement more road course racing IRL. We just saw a really good race at Circuit of the Americas today. Really a great overall weekend, in my opinion. But a really good race today at COTA. I'm hoping we see some of that same action here tonight at the Glen. And when I first started doing this league, it really seemed like there was only one or two guys that ran any decent at road courses. But by the end of last year and coming into this year, it really seems like a lot of people in this league have stepped their game up as far as road course racing goes.
Yeah, we've got a decent amount of drivers in here who are pretty good at road courses, but typically what happens is you end up having your road course ringer or your one individual person who seems to just find that extra half a tenth or second a lap and just ends up being the guy to beat throughout the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw newcomer last week, Ryan Andrew, put on a performance. I see you're in the race session here tonight. Are you doing double duty? You doing some race control and some broadcasting?
No, unfortunately, I'm just going to sit here and do the broadcast. Just wanted to get in, do some laps, and show I know how to drive a car too.
Well, mission accomplished, I would think, because your timing is right up there in that second spot, right behind Ryan Andrew and right in front of Matt Piercini. So really, we can look at Piercini with that second fastest time. John Campbell fourth. Marty Rogers in that fifth spot so far in practice. Looks like Johnny Brugg all the way down to 8th. Sid Kashishi in 10th. He's really good at road courses. Kendall Kerr can hold his own. Matt Piercini, of course, can as well. But it looks like right now, Kyle, the newcomer, Ryan Andrew, getting it done last week on the ovals at Atlanta, showing he can get it done, turning left and right here at the Glen.
Yeah, and he said something in the drivers' meeting. I'm waiting to see if he holds up his end of the bargain, but he said he might not qualify to start in the back and have some fun tonight.
All righty, so we turn the audio down a little bit. I'm going to turn you down just a tad. Everybody at home that's watching, let me know if these changes are good or bad. But there is Ryan Andrew. He had a little bit of a spin out there. There's James Lawson now coming out of pit road with his Black Rifle 66 machine out there, getting some laps in. Matt Piercini making the pass on him. But again, certainly really looking forward to tonight's race. Kyle, for maybe some of the guys that just started watching this season, Matt Piercini, with a little bit of trouble right there before he goes in there. Watkins Glen, tell us a little bit about it. It's a fairly easy track with a GT3 car, an LMP, cars that are meant to go. And as far as stock cars, it probably doesn't get much easier than Watkins Glen either as far as road courses, but that doesn't mean that this track doesn't come with its challenges. What can you tell the guys at home about Watkins Glen and where we should be looking out for?
Yeah, with Watkins Glen, you've got a decent amount of elevation and some flat corners, which, elevation tends to help these cars depending on how the elevation kind of turns out. And then these flat corners, you're really, really leaning on these tires. So really every corner here is can be a problem spot for drivers, but specifically the one spot that doesn't look like it would be tricky but ends up being really, really tricky is heading up the S's and just trying to get a good run out without spinning your tires. So you're going to be fighting that thing from trying to keep the back end from starting to swing out once you start to crest the peak there at the top of the S's.
Yeah, and of course, you can look at the track map for the guys at home. We are running the NASCAR version, so we're going to go right into that carousel, but we're not going to do the bootleg. That's going to come right down to a front stretch there before hanging that last left and right before the front stretch. Kyle, where should we be keeping our eye on for overtakes here at Watkins Glen?
I think if you get a good run, I think coming into the first corner, if you get a good run through the carousel and you're kind of catching somebody, that might be a good spot to pass. Turn 1, heading into the bus stop, you're going to see a lot of people get good runs on people. That'll start. You'll see the run start to form when someone starts to get loose coming up at the top of the hill there, and then. Second to last corner, you're going to have the carousel and the bus stop. So you're going to have a lot of people getting close there with different entries into the bus stop and different approaches to the carousel. So I think every corner here is a possibility to overtake. You just have the hot spots, which are, I'd say, one at the bus stop and the second to last corner.
Yeah, and I really feel like the carousel is one of those parts of the track that people, it's very easy to make mistakes. It's going to open the door for somebody who's behind them who has that good racing line. Maybe they overshoot the carousel. They're getting a little bit loose through there, especially coming after the bus stop right there. It comes at you quick, that part of the track. The S curves right after turn 1, You go on a little bit of a stretch, and then you go up through these S-curves, which is not as easy as it looks. Like you talked about a little bit earlier, there is an elevation to that. These guys are really going to have to watch their speed, their steering ratio, and their throttle control overall through those S-curves because, Kyle, one of the biggest the biggest overtakes, you've already said, right before that bus stop. But in order to be able to do that, you're going to need a really clean section through those S-curves.
Yeah, and then you talk about these passes into the carousel. That all starts in entering the bus stop, and you're going to see people, not as confident in their ability to go into the bus stop versus somebody who's very confident. You're going to see drivers who are really, really quick there being able to jump to just hit that initial first curb and just jump it and then brake and be able to cut in and gain so much time compared to other drivers who are just kind of taking it easy or aren't feeling comfortable enough to just send it into that corner.
And yeah, 100% agree with that. There's some heavy braking zones in here. These guys are going to have to be relying a lot on engine braking, especially down that front stretch, Kyle, down into turn one, as you touched base on. This might sound cliche, but that's really where a good lap starts, is right there on turn one. Because of the momentum, you're screaming down that front stretch. Luckily, Watkins Glen, especially with the update, added a really big runoff in two spots. Number one, in turn one, so these guys are really going to be able to take it out wide. But then also coming out of the carousel, they added a runoff as well, and you can get out there pretty wide without taking a off track.
Yeah, that turn one runoff area is very, very helpful for turn one, just kind of avoiding an incident, or just if you miss it, you can just kind of go wide and kind of rejoin right in before the S's. But yeah, that should be a helpful spot. I think more specifically when someone has a problem not using it for speed, and then coming out of the carousel, someone might feel comfortable with their line being able to go wide, but you might see other people just kind of keep it on those curbs and keep it below that white line that outlines the outside of the track.
Alrighty, as we jump into the qualifying session, this is the Marcos Ambrose 98, sponsored by Scrub House Racing, league member David Rhodes. Kyle, we're going to do 40 laps here at the Watkins Glen. 4 extra sets of tires for these guys, 1 fast repair, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, local cautions only. Kyle, tell us what that means for these drivers out there.
Yeah, these local cautions, they're not obligated to slow down, kind of like a normal caution, but you're going to just have to keep yourself on the track. If you even get a spin here, that's going to be a major, major, major problem where you're going to lose a lot of position and heat up your tires.
Yeah, and something that we saw in today's race is, according to NASCAR IRL, they do full course cautions, and that's something that I really wish that they would stop doing. Basically, if we're going to be doing 8 to 10 road courses a season, I think they are really going to have to adopt the local cautions, the virtual race car like we see in F1, to where there's no actual pace car out there, and you're out there, you're still under green almost. It feels like you just can't go up a certain miles per hour, and then once everything's taken care of, the virtual race car is done. You're back to full strength green flag racing. I think that's something NASCAR is going to have to do. Something that we saw at COTA is there's so many cautions, and these guys, so many caution laps there. And I really like the iRacing. Every league that I've done with road courses, it's only been local cautions only, something that I feel like needs to happen IRL. What do you think, Kyle?
I think it's something that could be looked at. I do think that we could have some modified procedures, especially at tracks like Road America and COTA, where they're just so big. Potentially, you've seen them kind of shorten these cautions up a little bit at those big tracks. But yeah, like something like a virtual safety car or something could be in the cards, but that would maybe need to be a thing that's implemented. Only with the Cup Series, with the budget constraints with the Xfinity and the Truck Series. Or maybe they could just get rid of the stages at the road courses, because I think that's a main hindrance to the kind of the flow of the race.
Well, it really can be. I will say, I think I mean, the stages at least provide like the strategic side of things, right? Like we saw guys today, they needed points, so they stayed out. Guys that were really trying to win the race, they came in with about 2 to 3 laps to spare in that stage. But I think everybody's opinion when it comes to NASCAR and adapting all these road courses, I think they're all viable. It's what we want to see as fans, and hopefully they do tinker with the rules a little bit. But right now, we're going to concentrate right here, right now. No Toad Racing League Season 21, the Marcos Ambrose 98 at Watkins Glen. Kyle, if you had a favorite here tonight, who are you going to go with?
I think the favorite here is Ryan Andrew, just with the pure pace. If we look at the practice times, if you ignore myself, he was a second faster than second place in practice. So he is going to be a favorite to win, but he said he's not going to qualify. So if he does not qualify here and he starts from the back, it might not be as easy as it looks, and never know with if there's a wreck going into turn one. So I'm going to say a dark horse for today. Maybe Marty Rogers or a John Campbell, just two really steady, good drivers who can do road course racing really well. Two drivers I've contacted about doing potential endurance race stuff. Yeah, so those guys I think are two dark horses for today.
Nick Biddy out here in the 46 Ford. Not too sure I've seen him all that much. Might be one of those new drivers making their way in here. If I had to choose, going back to last year, I know Skylar Carnes pretty much swept all the road course races, but Johnny Brugg was right there running behind him, top three on the podium almost every time. I'm going to go with our championship points leader, Johnny Brugg, as my favorite here tonight. But my dark horses would absolutely be Marty Rogers, Matt Piracini. Those guys are up there. Johnny Brugg kind of struggling in qualifying, only with the 7th fastest. Now, Ryan Andrews for sure is going to have the fastest pace out there. But like you said, Kyle, with only local cautions, if he gets caught up in something, that could be his race. He's going to be coming from the back of the field here. Doesn't matter how quick you are, you're going to have to try to navigate through some of these slower drivers, some drivers that may not be comfortable or familiar with how to get through an apex and how to get through a braking zone. So I tip my hat off to Ryan Andrews starting from the rear. However, I don't think I think he's going to have a really tough time without any cautions trying to get up to the front. So I'm going to go Johnny Brugg, and we'll see how it goes there. We saw the points at the beginning of the broadcast, and I have to correct myself. I forgot, Kyle. Johnny missed last week, so he's actually back in second place. Now, he's going to use a drop week for that, but Kendall Kerr takes over the total points for the season. He's up there on the top with 302 points. Johnny Brugg, 276. Matthew Piracini in that third spot with 269. Marty Rogers in fourth with 260. And Oliver Turan in fifth. And Ileana Hamilton sixth. Right there, 251 and 250. I'll include those guys right there. Only 50 points back from Kendall Kerr, 25 from Brugg. But after that, AJ Binish, Crutchley, Kelly, those guys are almost 100 points off of the leader. So I would say with a little bit of luck, we could still count maybe Oliver and Ileana in there. So really it's a 5-6 driver race to the championship here as we do. We're right in the middle of that back half of the schedule.
Yeah, unfortunately, Ileana Hamilton didn't show up, and he's you talk about Johnny Bruggs being good on road courses. I think Ileana Hamilton is better than Johnny Brugg when it comes to road courses, so that could have potentially been a really good week for him to come out, but unfortunately he hasn't. Yeah, Kendall Kerr and Johnny Brugg look like they're pretty even on pace. Piracini and Marty look like they're a bit ahead of those two, and Oliver looks like he might be in the middle of that. So very interesting here for the point standings.
Once again, Scrubhouse Racing sponsoring tonight's race, the Marcos Ambrose 98. Next week on the 3rd of April, we're going to be at Richmond Raceway. Really looking forward to that track. That's going to be the Please Turn 160, sponsored by McCuskey. That's going to be a 160-lap race during the day. And then a week later, on the 10th of April, we wrap up at Homestead, Miami. It's the Neil Part Memorial 165. sponsored by Jay Barton. That's going to be 110 laps at Homestead. So Watkins Glen, Richmond Raceway, Homestead, Miami. I assume for the majority of these next 3 races, Kyle, we're going to see the guys that are up there in points make it through there. Kerr, Brugg, Piracini, who you got considering the tracks? Watkins Glen, Richmond, and Miami.
That's a tough one. I think Kendall is sitting pretty here with his qualifying time. So if he's able to parlay that into a good finish here, I think it might spell trouble for Brugg. But the next 2 races, Homestead and in Richmond, I gotta go with Brugg. I think Brugg would be the stronger one out of the 2 of those to get a good run there at Homestead and Richmond. But if you have a really bad race today, depending on whether or not there's a wreck going into the first corner, or if you get caught out on some sort of strategy gamble, you could really be sitting here in a bad situation.
Yeah, I actually tend to agree with that. If Brugg makes these last 2 races, I think he is. He's got to be the favorite going into every oval at that point. So Kendall Kerr, this could be a huge night for him, Kyle. He's got that 26-point lead over Johnny Brugg. Brugg, he's just going to have to stop the bleeding here tonight at Watkins Glen, try to come up with the best finish that he can to walk away with as many points as he can. But right now, Kendall Kerr, he's got to be focusing on having a clean race, protecting his car, and finishing in front of Brugg as much as possible to be able to hold on to this points lead, because I think you're right. Miami, Homestead, and Richmond, I think Johnny Brugg is going to be the heavy favorite going into those 2 races. So I don't know if my sim is frozen or what, but we're all kind of just hanging around here for now. I got John Crutchley out there on the track.
Yeah, we got 7 seconds remaining before
good.
we head into the race session, so we should get an answer there.
I think so. I think we'll be good. NTRL Season 21, iRacing on Faded TV. You can find us over on Twitch.com. This is the Xfinity Series, and you're absolutely right there. My timer on SDK had already dropped down to the zeros, and then all I saw was Crutchley sitting there, and I was on Scenic, so I didn't have any audio, so I said, oh, no, I think we're frozen. But you're absolutely right. We're just waiting for these guys to get over from the qualifying onto the grid. That's what we've done here. So let's go through the grid here. We talked a little bit about some of these guys. John Creedler, Kyle, actually taking the pole here. How about that?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. His lap time was extremely impressive. He got down to a 14 flat, which is 5/10 off of Ryan Andrew. Ryan Andrew elected to start from the back, so it's going to be really interesting here if John Kreidler can keep that pace up throughout the rest of the race and be able to contend with Ryan Andrew.
Talk about a surprise up there. Good for the 99. He is very fast. I mean, we've seen the 99 car have some really good races, but we've seen him get into a little bit of trouble out there on the track. So really good to see John up there. Kendall Kerr going to be joining him on that front row on the outside. See, yep, there we go. Okay, and then John Campbell going to be 3rd. Marty Rogers in 4th, somebody that you had talked about. Oliver Turan, the guy who seems to always be up there in the top 5. Matt Piracini going to be 6th. Nick Biddy in 7th. Johnny Brugg back there in that 8th spot. Can have a little bit of work to do there. Gary Sargent in 9th with John Barton in the top 10. Al Corey going to be 11th with Will Jester in the 12th spot. Back behind those guys, we start with Terry Fullwiler, with John Crutchley in that 14th position. James Lawson, 15th. Brian Cooper on the outside of that 8th row in 16th. Ryan Andrew going to be in that 17th. He did not qualify. Of course, Kyle Gretsch isn't in the race here tonight. So Mike Caravu and Sid Kashishian. You said Sid is doing race control, so it must have been Ryan Andrew and Mike Corvu, the only 2 drivers to not lay down that qualifying time. They're going to be side by side to start this race. So pretty good field here, Kyle. It is set. We are going to do a outlap iRacing providing the Porsche here at Watkins Glen, although it would probably be IRL, the Toyota TRD or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it does look like Sid Kashishian is racing due to this not being an oval. We get the tricky situations with some cars spinning out and not causing a caution. This was not going to be an issue here, so I'd expect Sid Kashishian to stay in the race here as he's out on the grid.
And certainly a driver who can hold his own, whether it be oval or road course. So too bad he didn't get a qualifying session in, because I believe Sid could have really started off hot here at Watkins Glen. Now, of course, anything can happen. So these guys in the back, I'm not counting them out just yet. But obviously, Kyle, we both know as drivers that have been involved in these kind of races, it is really tough to try to get up to the front.
Yeah, but also at the other end of the stick, if you're kind of mid-pack here, you might, I don't know about you, but I would rather start in the back rather than the middle of the pack, just in case something crazy happens.
Pace car is off. It's going to be John Creedler and Kendall Kerr taking the green flag. And we are racing at the Watkins Glen down into turn 1, the 99 of Creedler with a huge jump over Kendall Kerr. Kerr trying to shut the door on the 117, but he's right there to be able to pick that up. A good run off turn 1 for Kendall Kerr. 1 and 2 are single file, and we are 2 wide behind them. 3 wide.
Yeah, good job there by everybody, making sure that was a clean 1 and 2. Just got to make sure we can keep it clean for the rest of the laps here, and we should have a good race on our hands.
Ryan Andrew already up 3 spots up to that 14th. So, and of course, what I talked about with it being a challenge to get up to the front, Kyle, if everybody has a first clean lap or 2, that increases his chances. I suppose I was kind of banking on a rough start by a couple of these drivers. We have yet to see that right now. Everybody locked in here at the Glen on lap 1.
Yeah, someone wide there in the carousel. Looked like it was Oliver Turin. Was able to recover there, but lost the position to Al Corey. Yeah, Ryan Andrew kind of running in the back here. You got to kind of get what you can get now while everyone's kind of bunched up, so you're not further behind as the run gets on and cars get harder to pass.
There is Oliver Turan, and you're right. He lost a position. Matt Piercini there. He's right in front of Johnny Brugg, though. Good company to be around. I think those are some drivers you can feel safe. You don't have to look in your rear view as much. That's something that's very tricky at road courses, Kyle. When you are in front of somebody and you're coming to this hard braking zone down in turn 1, or especially the bus stop after that straightaway through the S's, one thing that's very easy to do is instead of looking at the race in front of you, you're looking at the race behind you in your rear view. You get distracted, you miss your braking zone, and that's it.
Yeah, and then you also kind of know who's around you. But yeah, if you're getting into a braking zone and you kind of see someone peek out and then all of a sudden they're faster than you into a braking zone, you're either going to try to back up a little bit, or as we see Will Jester spin out in the back going into the bus stop.
Yeah, Brian Cooper as well. Let's take a quick look at that. He's in the 96 IO car. He's coming up through the S's right now. And it looks like just gets a little bit loose there. We talked about how difficult that can be. Front nose into the barrier twice and the rear end as well. So he's going to have to come down pit road if he can make it there and use his fast repair for sure. Here's the 74 car of Will Jester that Kyle spoke about. Through the S's just fine. Down this long stretch here, down into the bus stop. Let's see what happened. Just gets a little bit loose there, and it looks like Kyle just a little bit too quick or late. He really had to try to engine brake a little bit faster than needed, and if you do that, too much engine braking, the rear end just slides right out.
Yeah, it's one of those tricky things. You need to really focus on making sure your RPMs are right, so you're not making those rear wheels kind of spin out a little too much. Yeah, it's just going to that bus stop is kind of a tricky thing, especially when you're trying to send it in there.
Yeah, and one thing that we're going to, well, we're not really going to see it here, but one thing that we do see in these road courses, speaking from personal experience as well, is some drivers are going to be taking these turns in different gears, right? Like some guys might go through the carousel in third, try to pick up some more speed. Some guys might be in second. Maybe they're kind of tiptoeing it around. They don't want to put too much weight on their accelerator through the carousel, but we're really going to be able to tell which guys are faster through that carousel, which ones are running the higher gear. But Also, for me, when it comes to the carousels, I always do prefer the higher gears. It allows you to be able to feather that accelerator a little bit more without having as many RPMs versus if somebody takes that in second gear.
Yeah, and then if you get too focused on running a lower gear, you might end up overslowing a corner and then end up costing yourself a lot of time there. Where that higher gear might be a faster one to choose.
Down out of turn one is Matt Piercini. We're going to go back and take a look at a replay of him. He goes off track there, takes it way wide on one of those last turns. Fortunately, I should say, Kyle, we talked about these long runoffs here at Watkins Glen. No kitty litter to pick up there, no wall barrier, so Matt is able to get back on track there. And, of course, I don't think with this league, we're not really counting off tracks here.
Going into the bus stop here, we got a stack up between the 24, the 002, Johnny Brugg, and Ryan Andrew. Looks like the 24 and 002 had some contact. Oh, and then Brugg hit the 002.
Yeah, unfortunately, Oliver Turan, big part of that. Johnny Brugg's wrapped up into that, but look at Brugg and Ryan Andrew all the way up to the front of the pack here. Ryan Andrew in 6th, Brugg in 7th. So Ryan Andrew making light work of some of these guys in the back of the field. Let's go ahead and see if we can take a look at that crash with Oliver Turan and the rest of the guys here coming down this stretch through the bus stop here. We talked about how difficult this was going to be, and it looks like Turan certainly into the back of Matt Piercini, all over the place there. Brugg unfortunately involved, but it looks like Brugg able to get out of there really unscathed. He may have some damage up there. Hopefully his steering is okay. So that he doesn't have to come down to pit. But, yeah, unfortunately, maybe just coming in there a little bit too hot. I don't think Turan expected Matt Piercini to have such a long braking zone there, Kyle. He hits him in the back there a little bit, 4-car incident.
Yeah, it looked like Piercini there was anticipating Biddy to maybe be a little bit weaker into the braking zone there and just checked up a little too much, and then Oliver got in the back of him, and then that caused a huge stack up there.
Now, up front, John Creedler, your pole sitter, still leading this race. He has about 3/4 of a second lead on Kendall Kerr, but as you can see on your screen, that ain't much. These guys are coming down through this last little part of lap 5. Everybody clean up through there, and Kendall Kerr being able to keep pace, keeping Creedler in his windshield there. If you're John Creedler, you got to be thinking to yourself, okay, I have plenty of room. My spotter's going to take care of me. I don't need to be looking in my rear view, but we know that is not possible because of nerves and anxiety. I'm sure he's looking through his rear view, checking to see what line Kendall's going to be taking here, and Kendall really waiting and being patient before he makes his strike.
Yeah, and the fuel window here looks like you're going to want to stretch it to 20 laps so you can cut the race pretty evenly in half. It might be a little iffy here for some people to make it to lap 20, so if we see anybody pit beforehand, before lap 20, we know they're going to make another stop. So maybe Kerr just kind of sitting and waiting and saving enough fuel there to just make it to the end of the race on one stop.
Here is the battle for first. Here is the battle box for everybody at home. You see John Creedler, Kendall Kerr, John Campbell, Marty Rogers, about 2 seconds there with Nick Biddy in that 5th spot, but almost 7 seconds back. And in fact, here comes Ryan Andrew now making the pass on Nick Biddy. So Ryan Andrew, a man of his word, started in the back, but it only took about 6 laps for him to get into the top 5. Still about 7 seconds behind Creedler. But, Kyle, as we look at the relative there, I mean, that just shrinks every second that goes by.
Yeah, he's within 7 seconds of the leader. He's definitely in contention here for the race win, especially with how many laps we got left. We have over 30 laps remaining, so he should be able to be in contention here and potentially go back from 17th to the win here. But Creedler and Kerr are definitely solidifying themselves up front, and you've got JC and Rogers in front of him, so he's got some of the best drivers in NTRL when it comes to road courses, but he might be able to pass all of them and take home the win tonight.
You see in the battle box there, Andrew up 12 spots. He's got Biddy and Brugg and Sargent behind him, with Rogers and Campbell running 3rd and 4th. So doing a pretty good job there. We'll start making our way a little bit through the field. Here's Gary Sargent. And it looks like for the first time since I've been around, Or no, he did run that paint scheme on the anniversary. He dropped the Jacksonville. Him and Brugg getting side by side, coming out of the carousel. I think actually a little bit of a love tap between those guys. But look at Gary battling it out with Piercini and Johnny Brugg.
Yeah, they had a little bit of an argy-bargy moment coming through not the carousel, the bus stop there. Looks like Johnny kind of got in a little bit deep there, got in the back of Sargent a little bit. Nothing major there, just a little bit of a sketchy moment.
Here is the relative between Johnny Brugg and Gary Sargent right there. You see the gap between those two drivers as they make their way through turn one, up through the S curves here, this little snake curve. Clean. And that's what it's going to take. I mean, when you go to road courses, Kyle, it's not just about the turn you're going through right now. You're trying to set yourself up the best you can for the next turn.
Yeah, a lot of oh man, that was a close call there with Nick Biddy. Nick Biddy had a little bit of an unsafe rejoin and almost got into Johnny Brugg, but Johnny Brugg seemed to have some sort of connection issue, just disappeared. He's got a little bit of damage there, but that was in the bus stop there.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened there. It looked like Johnny Brugg just disappeared and messed with the broadcast a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at this Nick Biddy crash. Replays being brought to you by Apex Designs. Look them up on Facebook. I know Matt Piercini, one of the drivers of this league, uses them. I use them for all my paints. Use code FADEDTV for 10% off. Luckily, originally, just a one-car incident. But yes, absolutely, if you're Nick Biddy, Kyle, you cannot make that mistake.
No, that was a definite unsafe release there. That will be looked at the admin post-race, and he might get a warning for that.
Back up front, Creedler. The battle with him and Kerr. About a quarter of a second as they make their way through the carousel. The 99 of Creedler yet to make a mistake right there. You see him using all of that runoff past the rumble strips there. That's the line that he's basically had the whole time, almost mimicking Ryan Andrews back there as well. So, I mean, when you get through that carousel, using that runoff, Kyle, use the track. Use it if you got it is the saying, right? I mean, if you have that runoff and you can carry as much momentum as possible, that's what you need to do.
It depends on your line. If you're running really, really tight through that corner, I would just kind of keep it within the bounds of the racetrack. But yeah, it just kind of depends on what you're doing and what you're comfortable with. Oh, as we see Marty Rogers get sideways in front of Ryan Andrew gets by him, but he rejoins behind, doesn't spin out, just keeps it on track, just loses a bit of time there.
Back with the replay there, you see the 32 car.
Oh, Marty Rogers is in the wall again. He just spun coming up into the S's.
With a little bit of that engine braking there right in front of Ryan Andrew, as you said, he makes it pass right there. Let's go ahead and see if we can catch up with this replay now. And he is just struggling a little bit with grip, I think, right now, and his braking zones. And the 32 car finally getting into the wall. Fortunately, nobody else around. That's going to be a one-car incident. And it looks like he's in one piece. These guys do have a fast repair to be able to use there. So Marty Rogers still in good shape. It looks like because of the clean start that he had, Kyle, he's still holding on to that fifth spot by about 8 seconds.
Yeah, he just has to hope that he doesn't have to make an extra pit stop here or something for damage. But yeah, he should be okay sitting solidly in fifth, just as long as that damage isn't too much of a hindrance.
Here's a replay of the pass right there, and I almost want to say that John Creedler might have been thinking about going down pit road on that one, Kyle. I'm going to show that one more time. Again, this is the pass for first between Kerr and the 99 of Creedler. Creedler right below that yellow line, doesn't take that last turn really wide like you should be, and just the look of or just seeing the lack of momentum coming off of that last turn, I really do think he was thinking about coming down pit road, or maybe his water bottle fell, I don't know, but certainly a misstep, his only one of the night. But Kendall Kerr has been behind him this entire time waiting to make his move, and he does.
Yeah, just like you said, the momentum, and he didn't even look like he was sideways. So I do think that might have been a missed pit road exit entrance there. But yeah, it'd be a that would have confirmed it if he did try to pit this time by.
We're going to be looking. There's two sectors here at the NASCAR Oval. This is between Ryan Andrew, and let's actually pull that up between Kendall Kerr and Ryan Andrew right there. You'll see that it looks like Kendall Kerr faster in all three sections, excuse me, than Ryan Andrew. But Andrew just got up here. He's going to be now looking to get into the zone, trying to catch Kendall Kerr. Since the beginning of this race, he's probably ran a little bit of slower time than he can because he's been working through so much traffic.
Yeah, and the fact that he's been able to close a 5-second gap really just shows how much pace he's got. He just has to hope he can get by him clean and doesn't have any problems here that might take him out of contention here for the win.
Yeah, and I was actually wrong on that. Andrew is much faster. In fact, as we look at Sector 1 right there, Kendall Kerr with 29.7. Andrew over a half-second quicker, and you can see the distance that he's been able to close with that, and we have a race for the lead.
Yeah, Ryan Andrew, he's going to try to get a good run here coming off the final corner, just trying to get up on the inside of Kendall Kerr here if he can. Kendall kind of doing a shallow exit there. Looks like he's pulling over here, potentially letting by Ryan. They go side by side into the first corner. He backs off, and Ryan Andrews takes the lead.
Yeah, Kendall Kerr there, I don't think wanting to really push that. He tried protecting the inside line, which is smart, is what you're supposed to do. But Ryan Andrew had such good momentum there. I think Kendall Kerr, no, we're only 13 laps into this. We're not even halfway through. Let Ryan Andrew win that small battle now. But I don't think, hopefully we're not going to see Kendall Kerr just kind of disappear here. I think he allowed Andrew the pass cleanly to be able to set himself up for later in the race.
Yeah, going through the field here, it looks like we're mostly clean. We haven't seen any major incidents here over the past couple laps. People kind of falling in their groove, and we have seen a couple pit stops here. So interesting to see here if we can be able, for the leaders to stretch it to maybe 20 laps here to maybe be able to do a one stop here. But yeah, if you're going to pit, you're going to want to pit earlier to just take advantage of those tires if you have to pit, 2 times and do a 2-stop. So it'd be interesting to see here how this runs out with the fuel strategy and the tire strategy here.
Johnny Brugg all the way back to 16th. You got to think that disconnection pretty much probably takes him out of contention for this race. So my favorite coming into tonight had some unfortunate luck there. Didn't work out his way. And, of course, if Kendall Kerr continues to race like this and Johnny Brugg is way back there, that has huge implications for the championship.
Yeah, Johnny Brugg actually came into pit on lap 8. So he pit, and it looks like he took a fast repair too. So maybe the damage being too much or him committing early to a 2-stop strategy.
Well, either way, he's got a lot of work to do now. Somehow, I think he's on the lead lap. I mean, he's over a minute behind Andrew, but just being on the lead lap with everything that he's been involved in is quite impressive. And I mean, this is where the local cautions only, I guess people can make the argument of, well, at least with the cautions like IRL, guys like Brugg and Crutchley and Jester, they can get back into it if we did have the cautions. But that's not how this plays out here on iRacing with No Toad Racing League. So Johnny Brugg certainly going to have his hands full right now. He's probably just looking at his best track position and have as strong of a finish as possible.
Yeah, he should be able to get some clean air here, just be by himself and just kind of focus on getting some clean laps in. Over time, we're going to see the drivers out front kind of slow down naturally with tire wear. Front tires aren't too much of an issue here. It's mostly just trying to keep the rear tires on it. So we'll see the front guys kind of slow down a little bit, and he'll be able to gain a little bit on that pit stop window. It's just how much on that overcut is he going to lose on those drivers that he was racing against when he took that pit stop.
We had some trouble with newcomer Mike Caravue crashing down into turn 1, just locking up his brakes there a little bit. Got him unstable, and then as he made his exit through turn 1, still was a little bit loose there, hits the curb, and we saw what happened there. So an unfortunate turn of events for him, but he's still holding on, up 5 spots into that 14th, so a pretty solid showing for Mike Caravue. We have to understand when we watch these races, not all these guys are road course phenoms. They're not road course ringers. In fact, Kyle, for some of these guys, they're just looking to finish the race.
Yeah, and when it comes to these road course races, it's really, really one of those races where you can't just kind of like find a groove and just kind of chill for a little bit. On the oval tracks, you can kind of find a gap and kind of relax, and you'll get moments to reset if there's a caution, but you always have a chance of a race going green at the end. But here you are guaranteed a green flag race at the end, so you really, really, really have to focus on keep the car on track more than anything. If you can just keep your car on track, you will get a better finishing position than you would have if you had gotten really, really, really quick and just crashed on lap 5. So a different style of racing here versus the ovals, different skill set, and then also just you have no cautions. That's just such a difference for some of these guys who maybe only run the ARCA series, or maybe they only run trucks, or maybe they only run the XFINITY cars, or maybe they only run 87s. Just just a complete different mindset from what they're used to.
Looking inside the top 10 right now, we have a handful of drivers in the green. Of course, Ryan Andrew, we talked about, he's up 16 spots, leading the race right now. Gary Sargent up 2 spots. Al Corey up 3. Those guys are running 7th and 8th. And Terry Fullwider, who started 13th, has climbed his way into the top 10. He's sitting there in 9th. That's who we have on the screen right now. Always rocking the Coors Light Ford number 9. He's been struggling a little bit with his stability here, Kyle. I think his tires are pretty much shot. I don't know when he's going to be looking to come down pit road to try to grab some rubber, but it looks to me like he certainly needs it.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be slightly close here with getting able to make it go halfway here on fuel. So like I said, that lap 20, if you can stretch it to lap 20, you will be able to just pit and then go to the end. And that's way more beneficial than it is to pit early, but then having to pit again later. So interesting situation here for all the drivers, and hopefully we can see some sort of interesting strategy here out of maybe Kerr or Kryler to be able to surmount Andrew here.
John Creedler dropping all the way back to 3rd, of course, with Andrew making his run up to the front. Kendall Kerr still sitting in that P2.
Yeah, John Campbell in P4, he's doing a really, really good job of just being consistent here. Looks like Kryler maybe is falling back maybe a tiny bit here to JC here. As we see, his lap times haven't been falling off tremendously. He's still able to hold a pace somewhat similar to what he was running a couple, maybe 10 or so laps ago. So he is doing a really good job managing his tires, as that's something he's pretty well known for, is just keeping the car under him.
"23 laps to go here, coming up on just about the midway point." We've talked about all the guys that are up in the front. Here in the middle of the pack, Nick Biddy, Mike Caravue. Looks like Brian Cooper crashed. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what happened with Cooper on the replay. He's had a little bit of a tough go here, but still in it. You see the damage on his car there, and I think a lot of these guys, Kyle, what I've seen is these, they just need to work on their braking zones, and man, unfortunately, that was a 2-car incident there at the end.
Oh, that got Marty Rogers, who's in 5th place.
Yeah, that is unfortunate for him to get wrapped up into that. But, a lot of these 1-car incidences, these guys just need to work on their braking zones, learning how to downshift and when to downshift, and how to really be able to use the tools that these cars give them to be able to hit these braking zones.
Yeah, a lot of it just comes down to brake confidence. You have to just be confident on the brake pedals and be able to find that limit. As we see, Brian Cooper has disconnected and he's retired from the race. Yeah, just being able to find that optimal brake pressure, being able to know what brake bias you need to slow down, and how to use your downshifts to engine brake and slow the car down into these corners with this heavy stock car. It's not something a lot of these guys are used to, and like we said before, some of these guys just don't run road. So to see them out here and be able to set consistent laps, even though they're not, the quickest and they're not able to compete with Ryan Andrew or some of these guys out front, it is a good thing for them to just be able to get these good, consistent laps.
Absolutely right there. You're looking at Ryan Andrew, your race leader, coming up on some lap traffic, and this is what Kendall Kerr would like to see. But as you mentioned, Kerr dropping way off there. You'd have to assume absolutely maybe trying to save some fuel. I mean, Ryan Andrews got about a 13-second lead now over Kendall Kerr. So you'd like to be right up there with Andrew as he hits this lap traffic. That's not the case here, but still plenty of racing left, still plenty of things that could go wrong or right for some of these drivers. They're still going to have to come down pit road, and we got some pit strategy coming here, and hopefully some of these guys down there that are back markers give these guys plenty of room.
Yeah, that's another thing. You have the whole racetrack in front of you, and some of these guys are going to struggle with just trying to hit their marks and just keep the car on track, and they might get so preoccupied with what's in front of them they don't look in the mirror to see that a leader has caught them from that 10-second gap they've not been paying attention to.
On the bottom, on the bottom of the screen right now, we do have live pit stops. Kendall Kerr coming down, Kriebler's down there. It looks like Marty Rogers as well. There's quite a bit of guys that were up there in that top 6 that have now come down pit road, and you called it, Kyle, wanting to get to that 20th lap, coming down for just one pit stop. Those guys did a heck of a job doing that.
A little bit of an incident there entering pit road. Fullwider slows down to make it on pit road, and Oliver Turin kind of boots him in the back right before the line there. Hopefully Oliver didn't push Fullwider over the speed limit there.
That would be something, wouldn't it? I mean, you're doing everything right. You get tagged from behind, and it actually pushes you into a speeding penalty. We saw something similar to Coda today where a driver got pushed off track, and originally that meant that driver was going to have to drive down pit road to accept his penalty. NASCAR reviewed it and said no, he was pushed off the track, so we're not going to penalize him for that. So if we have live race control, that's something that he could broadcast over the radio to try to ask for forgiveness, saying, hey, I got pushed. Oh, we got to spin out here in the snakes. That's Oliver Turan. And I believe Sid Kashishian and the 9 car of Terry Fullwider is going to say, hey, thanks for the spots. I'm going to catch you later.
Yeah, it looked like Sid Kashishian just thought he was going to clear Oliver and just kind of turned across the nose there and caused that accident.
Now race leader Ryan Andrew coming off pit road there. It takes these guys quite a bit to come down pit road. Of course, you got to hit that pit road speed. You can't go above it. These guys are getting fuel. They're getting 4 tires. Some of these guys adding a second and a half to that. Andrew's getting loose.
Oh, man. That was a loose moment there. Yeah, just coming up that hill is it's not easy flat, and you're very, very close to it. So you're going to push the limit as close as you can to kind of just get that drive off, because those are precious, precious tenths of a second. I think you can gain about 3 tenths if you can get a really, really good exit out of the S's. As you can see there, him just getting dead sideways going through there.
Well, and of course, I think the issue there was he just got out of pit road. For 20 laps, he's been running that S-curve a certain way. He comes off pit road, and his muscle memory is he's driving the car like he was on a good set of tires, but now he's got cold tires, and I think that's what happened there. As he goes on the inside there, of the 68 car now onto the front stretch. So once you get out of pit road and you have cold tires, you have a full tank of gas again, which changes the weight of the car. You almost have to settle back in to how you were driving your car on the very first 1 or 2 laps.
Yeah, you get out there, you kind of feel like Superman, and then you can start pushing your limits again. So Ryan feeling the grip up there, holding more speed through the S's there, and trying to get on the throttle, just getting a little too greedy with it, but luckily not spinning the car out there.
As we got the laps there of everybody coming in, it looks like Gary Sargent and Ryan Andrews and Campbell, Kyle, were all able to stretch that on lap 21 is when they came down. So those guys for sure securing that extra lap no matter what should be the last time they come down pit road.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Johnny Brugg, who's sitting in 7th, he pitted on lap 8. So I don't think it's possible for him to be able to stretch it here to the end. So if he has to pit again, he's going to be sitting in a very, very bad spot. Even right now, he is sitting on much older tires than everyone behind him.
Yeah, you see right there, he's been out there for 14 laps since coming down pit road. So his tires really starting to settle in there, if you will. And you see the rest of the guys in the top 8, fresh coming off those pit stops right there. Not even a full lap on these tires, and Andrew finally does. So he's 1 lap on his fresh tires. But Kendall Kerr, I think that says 3 laps. So a lot of these guys right around the same time, which is expected. We knew it was going to be right around that halfway point. Of course, some of these drivers, Kyle, that aren't as experienced or as skilled as some of these other guys on road courses, they're going to feel the wear of the tires a lot sooner, right? Because they don't know how they just can't hang on to it. So we got some of these drivers probably came down, lap 8, lap 10, lap 12, just because they needed to be able to stay on track, while some of these other guys who are road course ringers, who do know how to handle these cars and save their tires, they're able to stretch that to the middle of the race.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to have your tire wear come into effect, and it's just going to affect lap time later in the run for these guys. So you might see some of these road course ringers, per se. I mean, I think you've already at this point established who your ringers are and who's not. So it's down to just a race between person per person. Yeah, like when it comes to certain individuals with running around this track, you might see somebody who's just kind of having a hard time, stopping the car into the corner, wear out their front tires more because they're just sliding it and then turning the wheel too much. Or you might see somebody who is having a hard time exiting a corner and just burn off their rear tires, which I think is the worst thing to do here, especially with how the S's work with the lap time. Yeah, as we see that Nick Biddy had a spin here in the carousel. Yeah, just tires just need to be something you need to do a good job of managing, just not abusing them. And then you should be able to maintain your laps consistently throughout the rest of the race instead of being really, really fast at the beginning of the run, but then be absolutely atrocious at the end.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 16 laps to go. Ryan Andrews starting from the back of the pack. He's in full control of this race, about 18.5 seconds over that guy, Kendall Kerr. John Campbell having a pretty good race here. He started P3. That's where he remains, along with Marty Rogers, who started 4th, has been able to hang on to that. John Creedler, though, right now, he started pole very fast. As you talked about, Kyle, before the green flag dropped, had some really good pace on him, but unfortunately he's all the way back down into 5th, which I suppose if the race was over now, top 5, nothing to hang your hat on, but he'd really like to have capitalized on that pole and be up there racing for the lead.
Yeah, it looks like potentially he might have been one of those drivers that was really, really fast and was able to, get that pole position, but maybe burn those tires off, as we saw a problem with him trying to exit the final corner onto the straightaway there that ultimately gave Kerr and Andrew position on him.
And there is Johnny Brugg, as you said, having to come down pit road on lap 8. He is now in the pits right now for his second and final with 15 laps to go. He had some damage on track through the bus stop, but also disconnected from the race. So unfortunately, just not the race that he was looking for, especially being second in points. He's about 25, 26 points behind Kendall Kerr. So it is what it is. He's going to take care of his last pit stop. He's in 13th place right now behind Nick Biddy.
Yeah, he should be able to hopefully gain a couple positions just off of having fresher tires and, having potentially a pace advantage over the drivers in front of him. But, yeah, unfortunately not a fantastic race here with just an unfortunate strategy.
I've been really impressed with this 002 of Oliver Turan. He's shown to be a quite competitive racer in these Xfinity cars pretty much throughout the entire season. Here at Watkins Glen, he did qualify 5th. He's down to P10, but we saw him get into a little bit of trouble early on. But a driver who I think, as far as season 21 goes, really stepped it up and is making a name for himself in this league.
Yeah, he was a driver for the ARCA series who just came on board for the Xfinity stuff. And yeah, he has been good at the road course stuff. Particularly, I was trying to put a team together for the Daytona 24 Hours, and I did a Nordschleife race with the Mercedes F1 car, and he was in it with me, and I kind of got out to a gap in the lead, and I was looking at my relative, and all of a sudden he just kind of equalized and started gaining on me, and then I kind of hit him up for doing the Daytona 24, and we did that with me, him, Michael McCuskey, Skylar Carnes, and John Campbell.
I'll tell you, as I switched back to Ryan Andrew, that guy is just zooming over these curbs, 2 tires off. The next time he crosses the finish line, we're going to take a break up here into the booth, and we're going to ride cockpit view with Ryan Andrew, the guy who started from last, is now in first, has had the best lap of a 113.67. Let's go ahead and jump inside Ryan Andrews' point of view.
Yeah, you're going to see him come down here into turn 1. You're going to see him shift down to 3rd, maybe even 2nd at the apex here. Yep, shifts down to 2nd. It's going to hit that apex, try to get the drive off. It's going to go 2nd. He's going to go 3rd, and then he's going to turn in here. He's going to be really easy on the throttle, try to keep it as far right as he can to get a straighter exit off here. Shifts early into 4th, so he gets a better drive off down this really, really tricky S section. He's going to come up here. We're going to see what brake board. I'm thinking maybe 500. Brakes before the 500. He's going to shift down to 3rd. He's going to hit both curbs here. He's going to run here. I don't think he's going to shift. Nope, keeps it in 3rd. Kind of keeps it here on the inside. We'll see if he runs out wide here. Nope, he's going to keep it right inside the inside line. Kind of kiss those curves on the outside. Heading down here. He's going to hit 4th gear. Is he going to brake at the grass? He brakes at the grass. Shifts down to 3rd. Shifts down to 2nd. Now he's going to go to the curbs on the outside. He's now in 3rd gear. Does he shift? Nope. Keeps it in 3rd for that final corner. So, kind of interesting stuff here by Ryan Andrew. Kind of being real tidy with his gears here and kind of shifting up into that higher gear to make sure he doesn't get a whole bunch of wheel spin.
11 laps to go here. We are, good job there by No Toad Racing League's very own Kyle Gretsch, giving us a little bit of a track guide there and what's going on inside of Ryan Andrews' race car there, and getting a little bit of his perspective. We're going to take a word from our sponsor, and we'll keep it green flag, though, and we'll do a little bit of a side-by-side. Not really, but you're still going to be able to watch the race.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that McConey Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in Irish. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairground Speedway, Five Flag Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at McConey Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, McConey Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to McConeySetupShop.com and learn why McConey Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at McConey Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
McConeySetupShop.com. Use code FADEDTV for 15% off all products, subscriptions, paint, and coaching. Picture-in-picture is what I was looking for, Kyle, not side-by-side. But forgot because nobody uses that expression anymore, the whole picture-in-picture thing. But nonetheless, there we go. We're some of these races where we stay green flag like this on the road course, I really don't want to break away from the racing. So I decided to do a little different this time.
Yeah, on lap 29, we had an interesting thing there that happened between Nick Biddy and Jester for 13th position. Biddy looked on the inside of Jester going to the first corner and kind of locked it up and door slammed the 74 there. That would have been a lap 29 going to turn 1.
Let's go ahead. We got the replay up here now, down the front stretch, down into turn 1, and absolutely the 74 car not using a spotter here tonight. So obviously did not know that the 46 car was down there. And that was a pretty hard hit going down to turn 1. As you said, though, both drivers being able to hold on to it. Nobody spun out, no extra damage there. So I'm not too sure what happened on that, but certainly could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You got to focus on not having those hard contacts to the corners of the car, because then you can get some steering damage or potential some suspension damage that just makes the car slightly undrivable, or potentially just gives you the meatball.
There's Marty Rogers in the 32. He's had a little bit of an up and down day, but Kyle, right now he is sitting in 3rd place.
Yeah, wonderful recovery there from Marty Rogers, as you see that he had gotten by John Campbell there. He had that contact with with Brian Cooper coming to the second to last corner, where Cooper was sitting on the apex of the corner, and he just hit him on the way by. But yeah, wonderful recovery there by Marty Rogers, a really fantastic road racer in NTRL.
Dwindling down here, we are in single digits to go with 8 laps left. Ryan Andrew, Kendall Kerr, really been the story up front as far as that goes. Johnny Brugg off track, Mike Careview as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at this replay. We'll start with Johnny Brugg right here. Oh, yeah, just got into the grass a little bit, something that you cannot afford to do here in any car, but especially, Kyle, a stock car. You have got to stay away from the grass.
Yeah, especially if you just clip it in the wrong way, man, you're just going to go spinning out, and then you're going to be potentially in a wall or worse, into another driver.
Nice little save from the 77 newcomer Mike Careview. He hits the grass, almost gets into the wall, was able to save it right there in front of Matt Piercini. Let's go ahead and look at John Crutchley, as looks like he comes up into the red as well. This is down into turn 1, it looks like, in the 48. Yes, it is. Downshifting, engine braking, going down, gets a little bit wide, and unfortunately hits the tire barrier there in the 48 car, so pretty hard lick for him.
Yeah, unfortunate there for John Crutchley. He's been putting in a lot of effort here to kind of improve on his road course craft, but unfortunate there to have that issue and have that wreck.
We have 13 cars on the lead lap. Will Jester is the last of them right there. Johnny Brugg, unfortunately, hanging all the way back in 12th. John Barton in 11th, with Oliver Turan gatekeeping that top 10. And right now, Kyle, Ryan Andrew making his way through this lap traffic. About 3 cars here. This is actually 8th, 9th, and 10th. So if anything were to go wrong, it seems like this would be the moment right here. You see Oliver Turan actually go way up the track there to give Andrew plenty of room.
Yeah, Andrew just did a really good job there, middle of the bus stop, to kind of just set the car and get it to turn in so he could be on the inside going into the carousel, with Oliver kind of carrying that entry speed there. Interesting to see Andrew just kind of sending it in there with the 30-second lead, just to try to get this positions here. Risky business, but I don't think it's anything too crazy for him. He's a good driver, so he should be able to make these sends and keep it under 'em.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, to follow up with that, I think a lot of drivers, from doing past interviews and maybe even a little bit of personal experience, they're almost afraid to let off, because if you let off, you get out of your zone, you get out of your groove, and that's when you start making your personal mistakes. Is like, well, I got a 30-second lead. Why don't I start slowing up a little bit? Or, hey, there's lap traffic. Why don't I hang back? And I think a lot of drivers, when they're in that groove, Kyle, they want to stick in that groove.
Yeah, we got a Al Corey here who checked up to let Ryan Andrew by and kind of stacked up the positions here for 8th, 9th, and 10th. Kind of getting a battle to heat up here between these guys. Still nose to tail after 34 green flag laps here at the Watkins Glen.
Yeah, and shout out to Al Corey, because I think he'd be the first one to tell you he's really not a road course guy.
He hates
it. But I think last season he didn't even run them. He chose not to, I think, towards the end.
I believe he did a couple road races. I'm not sure how many, but yeah, no, he's come out as a person that didn't really like road courses. We did our practice race Wednesday, and afterwards he said, I had fun, and I think everyone had their heads explode, because that's not something you expect to hear out of Al Corey, as we see Oliver Turin. Oh, no!
That almost looked intentional. I don't know what's going on with those two guys, but I'm not going to throw Oliver out there, but that was really weird, and it would have been a horrible thing for Al Corey, who we were just talking about, having himself probably his best road course performance here, at least on Faded TV, as far as I'm concerned. He's out there looking like a real race car driver, Kyle.
Yeah, no, Oliver just got in there hard, was trying to get by full wider, and just completely misjudged his braking zone, potentially maybe trying to engine brake, or realized he wasn't going to make the corner, so decided not to engine brake to kind of get that hop. So yeah, just I wouldn't say it's intentional. Oliver and Al have had some run-ins with the ARCA series and whatnot, but nothing I would chalk up to kind of like a feud.
All right, well, we will take the word, and sometimes that is just how it plays out. But nonetheless, an escaped death from Al Corey there, that would have certainly ended his night there. And Terry Fullwider hanging on as well in that 9th spot with, of course, Oliver Turan looking for a top 10. Gary Sargent as well, another driver having himself a good night. He did qualify in P9. He's found 2 spots up there. Ryan Andrew, race leader, now coming up to his back bumper, but a good showing by Gary Sargent. Matt Puricini, I think we always kind of expect to be in the run of things, at least top 5, top 6, where he sits right now. John Creedler being able to recover from a incident that happened in the beginning of the race. He did lose a lot of track position, but since he's had that 5th place spot, that is where he has stayed, with John Campbell in the 117 Krispy Kremes coming down the front stretch down into turn 1, having himself a heck of a race. He's on the back end of Marty Rogers. That is for 3rd place. I think that's where we'll stick around here for a little bit.
Yeah, JC out of Australia here. Really, really good road course racer. He's an A-class guy, just kind of, I think he's an A-class license in every single license category, which is always really impressive to see. Very, very safe driver. Probably the safest driver, in my opinion, in NTRL. Really, really good and consistent. Potentially here, seeing that that easiness on the tires here coming into play, with Marty Rogers getting by him earlier, but then kind of him reeling him back in either by tire wear or Marty kind of falling off here a little bit.
Yeah, and this is when tire wear really starts to come into play right now. With just 3 laps to go, you're comfortable 1 second, and then all of a sudden it just falls apart in an instant. And right now, that's what John Campbell's hoping for with Marty Rogers. But what looked like a good run of momentum for John Campbell really slowed up there in the in sectors 2 and 3, and Marty Rogers is able to give himself a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, Marty getting a good exit there, but I'd like to bring attention to the car, kind of 2 cars behind this. James Lawson, currently in 17th position here, but a driver who's really been putting in an effort to improve with road course stuff. He, does every practice race with these, and he took a part in the King of the Hill series to kind of improve. his road course craft for tonight, and doing a good job. No damage on the car, able to keep the car on track, and when someone's coming up towards him, he's doing a really good job to place the car in a position to where he's not going to get run over.
I keep forgetting about that Saturday night series. I gotta get involved.
Yeah, we're looking at adding another series that's slightly top secret.
Okay.
I say secret, but a couple people know.
Well, I'll have to dance around in the Discord and be able to and find that, reach out to you guys, and try to get involved with that, because that sounded really fun. And Saturdays are really the only night I get to race, so it'd be really nice to be able to do, you know, something different every Saturday with the league. But as we talk about that, 2 laps to go here. Ryan Andrews coming through this last little part of the back end here. He's going to be taking the white flag. Oh, and he overshoots that just a little bit. Of course, he's fine right now, and maybe this would be the moment with a 45-second lead, Kyle, to maybe just take a deep breath on this last lap.
Well, you have a 45-second lead here. You could always make it a 46. So you could, yeah, any number to make it bigger makes it look better. Makes people more scared of you. Is, oh, we see him getting close there with Nick Biddy. Biddy kind of having a problem there.
So this race coming down, not to the wire, so to speak. We know Andrew's pretty much going to walk away with this. Kendall Kerr, he's got about 4.5 seconds over Marty Rogers, who's back there battling out right now with John Campbell. Johnny Brugg, he is in the picture there, but he's a lap down. That's not going to be for position regarding any move that he's going to make. So right now, the closest race meaningful on the track is between Marty Rogers and John Campbell.
Yeah, JC, not somebody who's going to throw a dive bomb here, but he might be able to get a good run here and potentially get the podium here from Marty Rogers.
Down into turn 1, going to be up through the S's. This is going to be it right here on the final lap as we catch Ryan Andrews coming off the front stretch here. Oh, gets a little bit sideways there. He's going to take the checkered flag real quick back to Marty Rogers and John Campbell, because this is going to be the part of the track that if Campbell wants to make the pass, this is going to be it. Down the backstretch here, catching the draft, making their way through the bus stop. And it looks like, Kyle, I think JC was very content with a 4th place finish.
Yeah, maybe not wanting to send it in there, not knowing where Marty was going to break. Maybe he can get a good run here. Maybe get a look in the inside here, kind of get a good run off the final corner, or potentially, as we've seen Marty be able to go out a little bit wide there. See how close JC can get, and potentially if he can get up on the podium here.
Of course, Kendall Kerr, he's making his way now onto the front stretch. He's going to take 2nd. We're going to stick with 3rd
JC's
and
close.
4th right now. The last turn for 3rd. A good run by Marty Rogers. As you said, Kyle, a good rebound for that 32 car.
Yeah, impressive run by him. Impressive run by JC, kind of getting that 4th place finish there. We got Kendall in 2nd place. Got Andrew, our winner. Creedler from pole to 5th, but still a good job there. Oh, photo finish.
Yes, it was. 0.02 seconds was what separated John Creedler and Matt Piercini across that finish line. Here comes 7th place driver Gary Sargent. He's about 5 seconds or 6 seconds in front of Al Corey. And in fact, okay, maybe these guys, Sargent's just going to go down pit lane right there. All these guys are. So that's going to be official right there as we catch up with Ryan Andrews burning it down right there on the front stretch. And I don't know. I mean, he started in the back. There's no cautions, and he won the race by like 51 seconds, almost a minute. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, just a really, really good pace there. You were able to see it in Sorry. Yeah, just a really good pace there in practice. He was able to run a 13.5. Was 1 second faster than the fastest lap we saw at practice, but only 5/10 of a lap faster than what was put in for qualifying there by John Creedler. But yeah, just a really, really good consistent pace. You're able to see that he was able to run about 1 minute 15s when everyone else was running about 1 minute 16s later on in the race.
So we're going to get some interviews going. I do not believe I see Marty Rogers in the Discord.
I have messaged him, so.
So we'll start with second place, Kendall Kerr in the 21 car. Kendall, you got a copy?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear. A really good Watkins Glen performance by a lot of drivers here. Of course, Ryan Andrew winning here tonight, but you came in and did exactly what you needed to do points-wise, as we only have 2 races left after tonight. Talk to us a little bit. You know, when you saw Ryan Andrew was kind of walking away with this, what was your mission from that on? Just saying, hey, look, I can wrap up P2, walk out of here with a lot of points. Let's not make any mistakes, overdrive, and just kind of ran your pace after that.
Can y'all hear me? Sorry about that. Just getting in and out of iRacing here. Honestly, I knew Ryan was going to win this race from the moment he was posting about 113s in the Discord. I didn't know if Kyle was going to run. I thought Kyle would maybe be the only person that could give him a run for his money, unless you know, Skylar or somebody showed up tonight. But I almost didn't even run tonight. So I'm typically terrible on road courses, and I didn't have a chance to practice at all week. But heck, second, this is like a win for me. So I definitely was not trying to race the 25, just let him go. I was thrilled at the beginning of the race to just be able to get a lap led. I knew when I had a good qualifying effort, that was going to be mission number 1, to just try and get a lap led early, because I knew once Ryan got up there was going to be no more opportunities to lead laps.
Yeah, good run for you there, man. You actually will get first place points. Ryan Andrews is not eligible for points, so you'll get first place points as your championship rival here. Johnny Brugg will get 11th place points here. So yeah, good points run for you here today, and might put you in position here going into Richmond and Homestead for the championship here.
Yeah, it just changes the way that you race a little bit, you know, just driving around kind of like the end of this Watkins Glen race, just kind of hoping that nothing bad happens to you. It puts you in an awkward racing spot. But yeah, the points right now are a lot closer than they actually look, just because the drop races haven't been added in there yet. And I know, you know, with Johnny missing last week, obviously that race will be dropped. So he's got one more win than me. But tonight is really going to help out a lot. Just proud to give this Ready Foundation Ford Mustang another good run, and glad everyone around there tonight raced really, really clean.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your time here. And Kendall, we're glad that you decided to race a good P2 there, and going to be taking home, again, what Kyle said, some first place points. So really jumped ahead of Johnny Brugg there for the championship. We'll see you next week at Richmond. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Next up, going to be Marty Rogers. He came in third place. We jumped ahead there to second place just because we were waiting on the number 32 car of Marty Rogers. Marty, you started P4, ran into a little bit of trouble early on into the race, and just rebounded so well and able to, at the very end, gain a spot and take home a podium. How'd you feel out there at the Glen?
I felt like an idiot for downshifting too much, but I just, figured I'd fight my way back and see what happens.
Well, and you absolutely did. That's one thing that I kind of pointed out. There was a lot of that going on here tonight, so don't feel too bad about it. I mean, I think that's something that it takes time to learn, in these braking zones, because you're not just using your foot. Now you're trying to engine brake, and you're trying to downshift at the right time. So we saw quite a bit of guys suffer from that tonight, but again, I mean, it could have been a lot worse for you, and it seemed like, this was a pretty stacked field. I mean, you finished in front of John Creedler, Matt Piercini, Sargent, Brugg. I mean, this was a really stacked field. Coming out of here, top three, it's got to feel really good.
Yeah, it does. I had a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, you showed up last night for the King of the Hill, and you came out tonight and had a little bit of a unfortunate situation there with the 002 kind of, or not 002, the 96 of Brian Cooper sitting on the apex of the second to last corner, and then you had the spin there entering the S's, but to be able to rebound there and finish behind the points leader and Ryan Andrew, it's a pretty damn good drive there, man.
Yeah, when Cooper spun, I got a 4X, but I didn't feel it in my car at all. So I just felt like a Phantom 4X for my side.
Well, you'll have that here with iRacing. They love handing out these incident points. But nonetheless, Marty Rogers in the 32 car taking home a very proud P3 here in a stacked grid at Watkins Glen. Marty, we appreciate you. We'll talk to you down the road.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next week.
Next up, newcomer Ryan Andrews had a very good showing last week, of course, on the oval, proving here tonight that he can also turn right. Andrew, Kyle talked to me at the beginning of the broadcast, said that you were going to not qualify, start from the back, and work your way through. And I was really scared or worried about that because I felt like, well, that's going to be a very hard task. He's got a lot of drivers to get through. And it seemed like not only did you do it, but you did it very quickly. And I think as much as that tells about how fast you were and how good of a driver you were, some of that's got to fall on just the league overall. Those guys out there on the track giving each other space. Those first couple of laps tend to be ugly on a road course with these stock cars, but I felt like, and I'm assuming you did, those were some pretty good laps there at the beginning of this race.
Yeah, everyone was racing pretty clean for the most part. There was a little incident on like lap 2 or 3 that scared me a little right ahead of me that I almost got involved in, but I was able to make it through. I was taking it quite easy there at the beginning, trying to give people room, be patient.
Yeah, good run there. Photo finish. If you just zoom out the camera maxed and see that you're on one end of the racetrack, see that everyone else is on the other. Yeah, really good laps there. You're able to run a 13.5 in qualifying, which is 0.5 faster than what we had on pole. What was your fastest lap there, by the way, man? What did you think you were able to set? What do you think the goal was there if you were able to qualify?
I think it was mid 13. My best lap of the race was a 1:13.6, so that was on lap 25, just a couple laps after the pit stop.
Yeah, that's correct.
All right,
Very
well,
fast time there, making your way all the way up through the field, starting from the back of the pack. I can't wait. Next season when all these guys are here, you're running for points. I think there is just some really, really good talent. Not only the new guys that are coming in, such as yourself, but I think even some of the older guys that are in this league have really been stepping it up, working on their racecraft. And I think as we close out this season, I'm already looking forward to next season. I think it's going to be a banger. Ryan Andrew, driving the 25 Chevrolet, wins at Watkins Glen. We appreciate you, buddy. You have a good night.
Yep, you too. Thank you.
So, Kyle, Ryan Andrew with another dominant performance. But overall, like I said to him, I mean, to be able to work your way through the field that quick, that early, I think is a testament to just how good everybody else around him was driving tonight.
yeah, he's incredibly fast, and we're very very focused on kind of having good clean racing here. So yeah, Ryan just kind of taking advantage of that and being able to pass cleanly and not get caught up with any incidents. Having a close call with only one is pretty impressive for having that many cars on track for 40 laps with a bunch of guys who usually don't run road courses. So this has been a really really good weekend as we see Ryan Andrew win, and we head into Richmond next weekend.
Yeah, Richmond next weekend. You brought up a really good point with Ryan Andrews being as new as he is not receiving points for this season. That means the leader in the standings, Kendall Kerr, who finished second, is actually walking away with first place points. He is going to really start running away from this after tonight's race with just 2 races left. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to calling the rest of the season with you. He's Kyle Gretsch with No Toe Racing League. I'm Brandon Robinson with Faded TV. We appreciate you guys tuning in here tonight at the Glen. We'll catch you next Sunday at Richmond.